So, you know, for the people here, you know, at the BBC Introducing Musicians Masterclass, I think you all know who Gary is, and maybe you could say a quick hello to him.
Hello, everybody. Abbey Road, my favourite place. Love recording there.
Clearly, as he made the effort to be there today.
Thanks for that.
I think we all know who our guest is today, but for just in case, you've got to play the just in case rule. And it gives me a chance to rattle off some stats too, just to humble you right at the start.
Music.
We did some clown-style music while this is going on. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest today has won 5 Ivor Novello Awards, is that right? 5?
Is it 5?
5, 6 #1 albums, countless #1 singles, a huge amount of prestigious awards, most of which are smash hits and upstairs.
Yeah. They're the most important ones.
I love it. I walked upstairs to Gary's private area, and I'm expecting to see Brett 12 smash hits awards laid right out there.
Beautiful.
You got to remember the people that supported you all the way through.
Best haircut.
Was it?
Yeah, best haircut we won.
I bet it wasn't as good as the one you got right now. I bet, in fact, that haircut has dated dramatically.
I'd win it again now.
You win it definitely now.
Yeah.
It's a strong look.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Nice
Thank
to
you
meet
for joining us. And I suppose you should say hello to everybody watching this right now as well, all the musicians who are gathered around watching this on tape.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do our best to try and find out what songwriting means to you and tell a story through, you know, your experience as an incredible songwriter. Many consider you to be Britain's greatest songwriter. And
That was me that started that rumour.
That's a good one to start. I suppose the obvious place to begin, Gary, is your first memory of music when it really hit, not just as a baby, or maybe it was as a baby, but when you realised that it was something that went deeper than just listening to it.
Yeah, I think the realisation moment of there was something amazing happening around my ears, that was listening to the radio and hearing Soft Cell, Tainted Love. It was one of those tracks where you couldn't distinguish what was going on, but it just sounded like euphoria. That's what it sounded like to me. I absolutely just loved all the elements, the voice, the synths. It was the chorus, the chimes, the bells. I just loved it. And from then progressed to Depeche Mode and Just Can't Get Enough. I mean, it was always pop music that got me excited. It was those sounds and it was those big hooks.
It's amazing you should talk about those songs as pop songs, because they're incredibly complex and very credible pop songs. I mean, Depeche Mode are a very credible pop band. And, you know, have actually gone on a journey many would consider to be alternative and not pop, and yet that's where they're rooted at. Martin Gore is one of the great pop songwriters of all time, isn't he? What is it about Martin Gore, do you think, that is so fantastic?
He's very individual, unique, and, you know, when you look at bands that have really lasted, I guess the bands that sound completely different in 2011 than they did when they started, the real, true people who've survived year after year in the music industry are the ones that they're on a journey to somewhere. Not the ones that you play a record and you go, oh, he's still there, bashing it out, same thing, same guitar sound, you know.
Nothing against status quo, but I understand what you're saying.
Hey, don't go there. We could fall out early.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I'll draw a line in the sand right now. We're off the quo.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your first song was that you wrote as a young person?
I don't remember the very individual composition, but I used to write in batches. Batch 1, I'd have 8 songs. Batch 2,
So
batch
crazy.
3.
I used to do the same thing with rhymes. I used to write albums, fully conceived albums of 10. People don't want to hear this, actually. Sorry, as you were.
Yeah, no, that's how I used to write. And because I used to put everything to tape live, I used to play it as I was singing it. You were 3 minutes in and that one's done, right? Next one, play and press pause.
Yeah.
Undo the pause, ready for another song. So it happened in big clumps of music rather than just one here, one there.
It shows a huge level of ambition even early on, that you were looking at music. You were trying to find your craft, really work on your craft. It wasn't just like, I've written a song that I'm feeling right now. It's like, here's another one, here's another one, here's a workman's ethic.
You know, I don't know if it was ambition. I just loved it.
Yeah.
I really loved it. And I couldn't imagine a life of being a songwriter. I always imagined a life of being a singer and making a living. But I never really at that point thought, this will be my job. It was just fun. It was fun to be coming up with something that had never been done before, that had never been written before. The funny thing about early writing for me was how influenced I was from where I'd worked, because I worked in working men's clubs from 11. I used to play piano in a bar at 11, and then at 13 I moved to a social club where there was comedians, there were singers, and it was that environment where they would arrive and they'd give you a book full of music, and without any rehearsals they'd be introduced and you were playing the music behind what they were singing. And a lot of they'd be songs you knew, but a lot of them you'd sometimes be playing for the first time. And I realised in my first year as a songwriter how blessed I was, because in those working men's clubs, you're not playing people's track 7 and track 8, you're playing the biggest hits in the world in the last 30 years.
That's a masterclass right there.
Exactly. So you're seeing how these enormous records, what they consist of, what the build is, how long the verses are, what a middle eight is.
Because there is an element of math to it, and this isn't to try and demystify it or to take away the romance of writing songs. We all know it's a very personal expression, but there is, I mean, chords exist in an order for a reason, don't they, in the way that they flow. And I mean, I think there is something to be said for understanding those progressions.
Yeah, definitely. And to try and always chip away at changing them slightly. But songs have a structure. They have especially in pop music, which I never want to move from. I love pop music. And even though I referred to Depeche Mode as pop music, that's pop music for me. The idea of pop music being fake and all the rest of it, that's not pop music to me. That's still just fake music where someone's been plastered on top of. The real great pop stars to me are the Elvis Presley and the Beatles and Madonna and the great pop artists, because they're popular. They're popular to a lot of people, and the reason for that is that they do music that appeals to a lot of people.
There's a certain understanding from the listener, that a trust that the person who's written that song knows where they want to go as well as the artist. And I think you're right there. In learning how to write those songs in the working man's clubs and getting a broader understanding of some of the great songs that were written before, and just getting that base knowledge, at some point you have to develop your own style, your own voice, otherwise you'd still be there. You know, what was the turning point for you, and when did you really feel comfortable that you were a writer that was expressing yourself and your own views and not necessarily those of the writers that had gone before?
I could say throughout the 90s I didn't have any views, really. I always felt that lyrics were a weak point for me, and I was often a copier of lyrics. I would use other people's emotions. I'd listen to conversations and talk to friends, and I always stole my lyrics from people around me and very seldom ever looked inside myself to write lyrics. That's something I actually have acquired and added to my skill this time round.
You have the experience now to draw upon those things, don't you?
I had the experience, but as a teenager, I spent so much time involved in music. I got to sort of 19, I didn't really have any opinions. I'd just done music for so long that and then of course, you join the band, and what happens is even though I was in the band for 5 years, your life goes on hold a little bit. You stop growing, really. You're just learning about what you're doing. Your life's been turned upside down. You're concentrating on other things, being a celebrity, being famous, dealing with that. The music goes further and further down the list.
It's so funny. It is really, that is the gift and the curse of success, isn't it? We talked about before we started rolling, which is that you're given this opportunity to be heard and to be appreciated, but at the same time, your artistic ambition kind of goes into arrested development.
It's weird, and you have to fight for that. And of course, that's something, for me, the first time around, it was much tougher than this time, because it was only me who was writing. Everyone our manager used to say, right, okay, everyone's got 10 days off, but Gary, we need the next album. So everyone used to go on holiday, and I'd be back in the studio writing in 10 days the next album. And
you're back in the working men's club at that point in a way, aren't you?
Well, it's back to churning it out, and you're on your instinct, but the other side of that is we're being successful. I've got lots of confidence. So here's another one, and it's something great. And there's a piece of it which you go, wow, what a time that was. I remember being asked, you know, we need a first single for this new album, you know, have a think. And then at 6 o'clock that evening, you deliver Pray. And they all go, this is amazing. And
how did that start? How did Pray start? You've got a keyboard in front of you. We should make the most of it. I mean, what was the first chord and how did that, do you remember?
Pray was, well, in those days, I actually sang a full tone above where I sing now.
Right,
so
right,
if you come to any of our concerts now and listen closely, everything's now a tone below where
God
it
bless
was.
age.
But this started, if I played you the demo of this, which of course I haven't got, it was almost like a Simple Minds track, this was, when it started. And
little muted guitar, yeah.
And then I added the hook. All I do each night is pray.
And do the words come at the same
how high
time?
it is. Hoping that I'll be above with you again someday.
Do the words come that easily to you when you're writing the song, or do you get the melody first in that situation and sort of go da 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 da, and then kind of work it out?
Music's first for me every time. Still is.
And what words are going to fit into the melody? How's it going to flow? What's the best?
Yeah, I often start with a lyric, actually. I often start with a concept, an idea, a line I've heard someone say or something I've read in a magazine.
Prayer was obviously a pretty big thing for you, and certainly throughout your career, faith and prayer, and really, you've definitely, you know, revolved around that philosophy or that concept loosely and sometimes specifically. I mean, your first song, according to, you know, the rough guide I was reading earlier on today, was Let's Pray for Christmas. And then, of course, you've got Pray. And so these things, I don't know if you've ever acknowledged it, but are you a man of faith, Gary Barlow?
Ooh, now there's a question.
Shall we bypass that one altogether?
It's so funny, though, you've talked about that, because I mean, since then, I don't think I've written anything with any religious aspect to it. But it's funny because in the last few weeks, I've written a couple of songs that talk about that. We'll come back to that another time.
Yeah, round two. When a song like Pray comes from that environment, and unlike today, where you're obviously collaborating more closely with your friends and take that, and like you say, you're drawing further from within to write songs. Back then, you have 10 days, bang, bang, bang. Oh, I've written the song Pray, check it out. And then it goes to #1. And it becomes this huge hit. Do you feel somewhat detached from that experience when it becomes a big hit like that, given the environment in which you wrote it? Does that make sense?
No. Absolutely. The commercial side of it, I am a complete whore. I love it.
Yeah.
I love success.
Yeah.
I think it's beautiful. It's so nice. I love the letters that people send you. This song's changed my life. It's too much of a lie if I sat here and go, oh no, you know, I just do it and it goes out there. I mean, look at the position we're in. We're writing music. I actually think about our whole job, you know, going on tour, going on TV, writing songs, producing albums. It's amazing, and the reason it's amazing is because every aspect of it, it's designed to make people happy, to make their day better. That's an unbelievable job. You know, if you've got a job like that, then hold on to it, because it's fantastic, and it's probably not going to last too long, because it's such a blessed position we're in. Just work hard, put out your best stuff, dig deep for you, you know, dig deeper than you've ever dug before. It's just beautiful. And when I drive down the road and a song comes on the radio, it's just like, this is amazing.
Well, I went to the cafe across the road while I was here, and they were playing a Take That song. I wondered if that was part and parcel of having the studio across the road.
I had that arranged.
Nice,
yeah. So when he arrives, on it goes.
They must have seen me coming, because it was at least halfway through. You had, you know, hit song after hit song for 5 to 6 years in the 90s, and Take That had become the most successful pop group since the Beatles, really, in the United Kingdom, and a huge achievement. You are the chief songwriter at this point. Was there ever a time as a writer that you felt the pressure was burning you out, that you felt like you were heading towards a position of writer's block, or that did the success start to affect your writing?
No. It actually amplified it. I was writing more at the end than I was at the start.
A case of like more confidence, more songs?
Well, the other thing I'd done is I'd started to work with other people as well. I'd started discovering what it was like to co-write, and that was really nice, because all of a sudden I'm going and sitting at a piano and someone else is going, but you could go there. Oh yeah.
I just learned something new, yeah.
So that was a big moment for me, and it was something I was really enjoying. And so I'd started getting into that towards the end of the band. And then